And gentlemen, what's up, African Fight Fam? It's your boy JB back at it again with another episode of the African Fighters Podcast. And today, guys, due to a popular demand by my far right, it is none other than the business tycoon himself. It is Ebuka, the man of many talents. Ebuka, how you dey do, my guy?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is another one. You know how we do it now. We're here again. It's a
Uh,
Sunday evening. We're here to look at the weekend and look forward at, the fights coming up. There are lots of activities coming up.
yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that, Ebuka. Before we get to that, I just want to introduce the money man, the guy of numbers. No, we only deal with facts, not assumptions. It is the president of Israel Adesanya fan club. It is King Dems of the Kingdoms podcast. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, brother. I'm good, brother. What's
Yeah,
up?
great to be back. Great to be back in your life and back in your ears, guys. This is the African Fighters Podcast. We talk everything African fighters around the globe, all discipline, as long as we can get to it. We'll talk about it. Today, we've got a couple of things to talk about. I'm just going to give you a brief breakdown. We'll be discussing about Francis Ngannou because it's Francis Ngannou fight week officially starting tomorrow. Uh, we will talk about Dricus Duplessis and UFC Africa, and then him potentially fighting Strickland. We'll react to Themba Gorimbo's performance yesterday, and also maybe we'll discuss about Chidi Bang Bang also fighting yesterday. We'll look into UFC 310. We'll look a little bit into that. Well, it's a mix of everything that we are going to be talking about today. All right, guys. Thank you for sticking with us for me to ramble that much. But before we do, let me ask Ebuka first. How is the winter treating you, my brother?
Yeah, it's really cold over here, bro. I stepped out
It's not winter
yesterday,
yet.
and that's what I'm hearing, but it
We are
doesn't
in
it doesn't
autumn.
feel like it.
We are in
Yeah,
autumn.
it doesn't feel like it. It feels like we're deep into winter. I had to put my heater on, but we're surviving. We're good. We're living life, man. Thank God. Um, thank God. Yeah, that's all I can
Yeah,
say.
yeah. All right. Kingdoms, there's always drama in your house. Any new drama happening today, this weekend?
No need drama. No
Okay.
need drama, bro.
All right. I'm doing fresh, but let's jump right into it, guys. There's quite a lot of topics to discuss here. Shout out to Christopher Graham from our Patreon. He's the one that is responsible for most of the topics that we'll be deliberating today. Yeah. Before we get into Francis Ngannou's situation, guys, I want to take a prediction. If you don't know, Francis Ngannou is going to be fighting on the 18th of October. I believe that's a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Francis Ngannou versus Ferreira in PFL's Battle of the Giants in the main event. That's October 19, my bad. It's going to happen in the Mayadeen in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It's going to be available on ESPN Plus pay-per-view and The Zone. So before I take your predictions, I'm just going to tell the people about the odds going into this fight. So according to DraftKings, the odds of this bout with Ngannou opening as a solid favorite of minus 298 and Ferreira as plus 240 underdog. Uh, Thoughts about this? I'll go to the betting guy first. King Dems, thoughts thoughts about the way the odds swing into Ngannou's favor, and what are your predictions for this fight?
Okay, you asked me about drama previously, right? So let me give you a little bit of drama. So I went somewhere recently to a party and with a friend. So they were watching boxing and then they were like, oh, what are the odds? Blah blah blah. And the guy was like, oh, this guy is the gambling man. And then there was this
Mm.
girl who was like looking at me as like, wow, like I was admiring you before, but I don't do gambling, man. I say thank you very much. I was not interested in you. So speaking of the odds, right? I think the line is what is meant to be. Ngannou is the seasoned veteran of the sport. Renan Ferreira looks very scary, but when you look into his profile, right? You come up with a question: who has he really beaten? right? So he's not faced, the quality of opposition that, Francis Ngannou has faced through his career. So no disrespect to Brendan Ferreira, right? He's been knocking guys out, right? But you can't compare these guys to the likes of Stipe Miocic, Derek Lewis of this world, the top quality opposition that Ngannou has faced, right? So that being said, Ngannou is rightly the favorite to win in this one. And styles make fights, right? And I think Ngannou's style matches up favorably against him. He's a well-rounded mixed martial artist, right? He doesn't just have the striking power, right? He also has improved his grappling and his wrestling, like we saw in his last outing against Cyril Gane. So I pick Francis to win this one. My money is where my mouth is. My money is with Francis.
All right. Well, a lot of people will argue that age is not in the side of Francis Ngannou for this one, right? Francis Ngannou is what, 38 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and
Brendan
he's been
Ferreira
through
is
quite.
not young as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's 34.
He's
Ferreira is
34. Yes,
34,
but
but
okay.
Ngannou is 38, and his body has been through it. And the last time we saw Ngannou in a competitive space, he got brutally knocked out. He got knocked out so hard that we felt really bad. Personally, I don't even like seeing the replay of that of that knockout, even though it was delivered by Anthony Joshua. But do you think that might be a factor? That is Francis Ngannou's jaw, what it used to be. We know when he was in when he was in the UFC, his jaw was like solid. When he fought Tyson Fury in boxing, he ate an elbow and continued moving forward. We know he has been notorious for having that jaw. But do you think now that jaw has been broken? Do you think age has a factor to play? I'm passing to Ebuka for this one. What do you think? Do you think that affects the whole thing?
I mean, everything affects everything in fighting. Let's not forget these guys put their body on the line. These guys basically make money with their body, right? And it's a natural thing in life that, as you use something, it deteriorates, the value comes down a bit. So yeah, that is a natural thing. Especially knowing that Ghana himself hasn't been knocked out like that before. That knockout wasn't good at all. Yeah, it will have an effect. It will probably also have an effect on how even he approaches the fight as well. But I mean, that being said, I still think he will come out of it on case. I think he will win the fight, just like we saw against Cyril Gane, where there were every talk about Cyril Gane being someone that doesn't move like a typical heavyweight, someone that moves, footwork and all those things. And we see how that fight panned out in the end. Gano was there, he so this is I think a zone that he knows better than boxing. However, just a question to end. Haven't been away now for I think what 2 years in boxing. What effect as well is it gonna have on his technique, his style? Is he gonna have to maybe get into a rhythm again, which will probably take time? And we know that MMA is only 5 rounds. You don't have that much time. That might be something again to consider. But I still
Yeah,
think it needs a fight. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you with regards to okay, the mechanics of fighting is very different in boxing compared to MMA. That is the leg strikes are totally out of the way. Ngannou is a very, very heavy kicker. However, it's not something that he's known for. Like it's not in his repertoire to be kicking. Sometimes when he attempts head kicks, I remember when he was fighting in the UFC, you could see it teleporting, like it's like he's sending a message. You can see it from a mile away. Even me that is not a fighter, I can duck when he tries to do a head kick. But regardless, sometimes with heavyweights, even when you try to block a leg kick, you can see coming, it will still go through. Anyways, if you're talking about leg kicks, have you seen the length of the legs of Renan Ferreira? His legs alone are probably my height, right? That that guy, that guy is
I
a
6'9".
specimen. He's a different
Yeah.
specimen.
A back
And
flipping
the
6'9".
thing is, yeah, the thing is, it's kind of difficult for us to keep our biased opinions by the side or our emotional opinions by the side and be like, I see Renan winning this one. right? I remember there is only one time in my life that I bet against an African fighter that I love, right? And it was him against another African fighter. That was when Easy was fighting Dricus. Remember on this show I told you guys, Dricus might actually get catch Easy because I feel Easy's jaw is not what it used to be. Scratch that. But in this occasion, Ferreira was very scared of him. But then I went back and I watched tape about him. Right, I watched his fight that he lost, and he lost against like scruffy brawlers. There was a fight he lost against like some chubby guy that was like a brawler. Then
Mm.
there was another fight he lost against a very small heavyweight that was a wrestler. Then I thought, okay, the striking I thought it's not as crisp as I thought. He has that thing going for him in that Francis Ngannou aura. Remember when Francis Ngannou was tearing through the heavyweight division in the UFC? There were times that he would not even land. It was just his intention and his will to land a punch that is taking out his opponent. We saw that against what's the name of this Brazilian guy that is a legend, Dos Santos, right? I forgot his name.
Yeah, JDS, yeah. Junior Dos
JDS.
Santos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a strike that did not perfectly land, and JDS injured his leg by ducking for it. We saw when he knocked out
Yeah.
Rosinho. What's that guy's name
Rosenstrike.
from
Yeah,
Rosenstrike.
Jesse
Suriname?
Norris strike.
Yeah, yeah,
Rosenstrike.
yeah. So he has similar type of aura to Ngannou because people when he blitz, I'm talking about Renan, when he blitz, fighters kind of like sometimes fold. In his last fight, the same thing happened. So now it's two guys. One that is both of them are blitzing, and I don't think we're going to see the judges scorecard. It's one of those things of who gets clipped first. And
Yeah.
honestly, as I'm talking about it now, I'm feeling like Renan will probably catch Ngannou with a front kick in the face. but but I think I'm sticking to Ngannou on this one. I think Ngannou takes him out of there in the first round. I don't think this goes past first round.
You, you know something,
Yeah.
Before yeah.
Jibril, you know something, right? I think they say you're only as good as your last fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have this recency bias, right? Especially with
Mm-hmm.
on both sides. Francis, he lost his last fight, right? Renan Ferreira, he made Ryan Bader look like he was not meant to be there. But remember, Ryan Bader is
Mm-hmm.
not even originally a heavyweight. He is a light
Mm-hmm.
heavyweight. He
Heavyweight.
moved up to heavyweight, so he's a small, heavyweight, right? Now, when you look into the history, the profile of Renan Ferreira, he has like 3 losses, official losses on his record, and he has, I think, about 3 no contests, right? Out of those no
Mm-hmm.
contests, right, there was a submission loss he had, right? One of his losses is submission. He's not very good when it comes to the grappling aspect of the game. And that is something Ngannou can always capitalize on, right? So if you go in there, study tape against this guy, there are holes in his game that Ngannou can capitalize on. And Ngannou has fought the best of the
Mm.
best when it comes to the heavyweights. And that is why, I am confident about Ngannou. So I'm not basing my decision to ride with Ngannou off, the fact that he's my West African brother. Yeah, because Nigeria and Cameroon are siblings, right? It's about the eye test for me. So what has this guy been able to accomplish, and what are the styles, in the matchup? But trust me, Ngannou has a
Mm-hmm.
favorable matchup. But in the heavyweight division, there's a lot of randomness. Everybody has got a plan until they get hit in the face, and that's why I don't really like the heavyweights. You like the big, sweaty, meaty men, according to you. But I love lightweights and I love welterweights because there is technique, right, to the fight. Or may the
yeah.
best man win.
Yeah, so people don't take it out of context. I like big sweaty men means that I like heavyweight fighters. So, yeah, still on this Francis Ngannou thing. Before I just go, when this is just something from me, right? When I see a Brazilian fighter, I don't think a Brazilian fighter cannot grapple, right? It's sort of like almost like seeing a Dagestani
Yeah.
fighter being a striker and not good at grappling. I sort of like feel like that. I'll be like, okay, maybe he knows something about grappling. And we know Ngannou is not like he's a grappler. He's more of a, what's the word that people adapter, in the sense that
Brawler.
he adapts to
He's a
style.
brawler.
Yeah, so he
Then he's
adapts
just
to
a
style.
brawler, man. Like,
Ngannou, if you listen to his podcast with Joe Rogan, like the first one, I think they've got 3 now. But the first one, he was talking about his first win in MMA. His first win in MMA, he won by Kimura. I'm Kimura like this.
Yeah, Kimura. Yeah, yeah.
And
The
when he
Kimura.
did it, he didn't know what it was. He just felt like, okay, if I continue twisting this guy's arm, he's feeling uncomfortable. And he continued doing that.
Mhm.
His first fight, he has never grappled in his life, and he got a submission in a Kimura. So he's someone that adapts. I feel like with Sirogan, because of his knee when he was fighting Sirogan, he had to adapt by doing wrestling. I don't think he's a very, very good grappler. I just think he adapts well to styles. And with regards to Renan, if he wrestles Renan, he's just going to lie down and pray on top of him. And I don't know if this is going to be a 5-rounder. I don't know if it has been announced to be a 5-rounder, but PFL, they do 3 rounds regardless of a main event or not, don't they?
This one has to be 5 rounds. They have no choice.
Right.
They
All
have
right.
no choice.
yeah, I mean,
Let's move on, because
something will
there's
have
still
to
quite a lot.
confirm.
There's still quite a lot to talk about this in Francis Ngannou's case. So we'll talk about thoughts about Dana White claiming that Ngannou did not make money in boxing. All right. So this transcript come to you via MMA Junkie, and this is Dana White talking. Dana White said, "I know all the shit that people don't know. I don't care what everybody says." White told MMA Junkie and other reporters following Dana White's Contender Series, right? He says, "It doesn't matter to me, but that's a fact. He was offered more money because I know the real numbers." Dana White is talking about the numbers. This just happened last week, by the way. And however, Dana White did not provide the numbers that supposedly Ngannou was supposed to get to fight John Jones, but he's just saying that he knows the real numbers, and he would have been Ngannou would have gotten more money fighting John Jones than fighting in boxing. And Dana White continued. He said, that's not necessarily true. That's bullshit. Publicly, the people believe, but that's not the truth. Total bull S word. Total bull else word again. That's the whole myth that makes everybody go, oh, let's effing go to boxing. And all this bull S word, boxing don't work. Boxing does not work. What makes it work? You need a Saudi effing trillionaire to make effing fights. And even Saudi trillionaires get tired of the effing bull S word. It is all an effing myth. It's all a myth. Like the whole statement you just made, that's absolutely positively not true. If those types of effing statements and those types of quotes by the media that makes all this S word, all these fights are happening. It takes Saudi effing trillionaire. Every effing guy that tries to do boxing thing, they all end up losing loads of effing money. The model doesn't work. A Saudi unlimited amount of money pops up, and that's what made these fights happen. And even guys with that kind of money get effing tired of that bulless word. I tried to censor everything. There was a lot of S bombs and F bombs in there, as you know, they know it. And
Is the S
I'm
word from
afraid
me?
I'm afraid some people might not get the context properly because of how I was trying to. Anyways, Dana White started talking about Francis Ngannou did not make money. And then he then started talking about boxing. We know how he feels about boxing. He tried to do boxing with Zuffa boxing, and that didn't work. And he's trying to get back into it apparently, but I don't know. So he doesn't like boxing and boxing's model because there's no monopoly in boxing, just like how they monopolized MMA and WWE monopolized pro wrestling, right?
No, it's
So
not just
we
about the
know how he
monopoly.
feels.
The organization is crap in boxing. The organization is not what it's meant to
Yes,
be. That's just the
yeah,
thing. It's
but
not about
if
monopoly. You can have an oligopoly. You can have,
if there
some
was one
people.
promotion in boxing that can get
Mhm.
their ass to get their ass together, right?
Get the
And
S words
and
together.
yes, they get
S
their
word.
ass together, and and like promote boxing to the level of packaging that the UFC and WWE have. right? Everybody else will follow. It's
Mhm.
just like because like when Dana White entered the space of MMA, there was Pride, right? There was
Strikeforce,
Strike Force.
WEC, WEC.
There were a couple of promotions there, but the packaging using Vince McMahon and WWE model, they ended up standing out, and the next MMA promotion next to them is like far second, right? Why is it that boxing cannot have that one guy that is going to revolutionize everything? I feel like Eddie Hearn tried to,
The answer
right?
is
But
greed.
man, and the way
No,
the best fighters are
it's
scattered around everywhere. It's. Anyways, let's get back on track. I just want to
They
quote
even come out
a
to say
Forbes.
something.
I just want to quote a Forbes article. So Forbes reported that Anthony Joshua was set to make $50 million in his fight against Francis Ngannou, right? And Ngannou was reportedly receiving $20 million for that fight,
Wow.
which they said is double the purse of the fight of the one he got from Fury. Again, I must add that this is like a show money. Like it doesn't have any bonuses, any sponsor, any pay-per-view points, nothing in there. It's just their hard must get money, must collect money. So
That
according to
sounds
all
good.
these rumors,
guaranteed
the
pause. Yeah,
yes, guaranteed pause, yeah. According to all this rumor, the guaranteed sum
Change
that
of money.
Francis Ngannou got 20 million for the Anthony Joshua fight and 10 million for the Tyson Fury fight. We're
for
just
free.
making assumption that at least he got 10 million because the build up towards that fight, Tyson Fury was saying he got a seven figure. Is that it? Eight figure, 10 figure? Whatever figure that is to make 10 million. How many is it? Eight figures.
And at the
Yeah.
time as well, Fury was saying
Yeah.
that. I think I don't. But correct me if I'm wrong. I think Fury was also saying that that is his biggest payday at that time. You
Yeah.
know,
So
and
so
that
so that
was one of the reasons
yeah,
why he took the fight.
we're assuming the least that
Um,
he got is 10 million. So the least that Francis Ngannou got from the two boxing fights is 30 million. We're not talking about the promos and anything, right? You think the UFC would give him 30 million for two fights?
wait, why are you asking this question? Do you believe Dana White? Like, do you believe him, or do you just want us to waste time on Dana White? Listen, Dana White
I
is
love Uncle
obviously
Dana.
a very. I like a lot of things about him. He's a very determined guy. But if you watch him, you see that he's one of these guys that they are so they are so addicted to succeeding and working things out that they do not care how they come across. You know, so
Mhm.
Dana doesn't care how he comes across. You know that I was talking about slap as Steve. If you hear him talking about slap, you think slap was the best thing since slice. You know, you think it's probably more watched than the Super Bowl or something.
I'm
You know,
telling
so
you.
yeah,
The way he's always
we
quoting
already know his
numbers.
antecedents. So there's no surprise there at all. I watched that and I was just like, oh, brother
I'm
Dana,
like,
calm
no,
down a
no,
bit.
no. This
You
is
know,
an S1 show. I was telling somebody,
yeah,
we said,
that's all.
I love Dana White so much, but I feel so bad that he's actively involved in promoting this thing. Like, I just cannot believe Dana White that I love so much is promoting Power Slap. I don't mess around with Power Slap. It's not my thing. I don't like it.
Yeah, well, I can say we unanimously agree that Dana is full of it
S
for this
full of
particular
S word.
report. Yes, full of S word as I try to quote him. I will not do that again. All
Ah,
right, let's move on to something nice. All right, our colleague in the fight space, not necessarily colleague, but a friend of the show, Themba the answer Gorimbo,
this
scored a
Cinderella man.
unanimous decision. Yeah, scored a unanimous decision victory last night against Nico Price. That was late in the prelims of the Apex card again. Um, this time, uh, this is the fourth time again that Themba is winning a fight on the in the UFC in a row. He has fought 5 times since he joined the UFC, and now this is the fifth fight and 4 wins in a row because he started his UFC career with a
Loss.
blip. Yeah. So before we get into that, right? What do you think about Themba's performance last night? Did you catch the fight? We'll go to Demola first.
Definitely, come on. You know me, I'm a junkie of the UFC, and of course, I always start with the prelims. It's crazy how I start with prelims, and sometimes I miss out some fights, in the main card.
Hmm.
So I'm really happy with what I saw. It's not the kind of win that we actually anticipated, because I had spoken with Themba before the fight, even like months before, right? So I see growth, because this is higher quality of opposition, right? So he was able to display superior grappling, superior wrestling, and of course his striking was economical, but it was effective. So I see growth in his game, and I'm confident that given higher level of opposition, he would shine. So I'm happy to see that growth trajectory for him. That's basically what I can say.
How about you, Ibuka? Thoughts about the fight last night? What did you anything you picked out of
Yeah, I
from the
mean,
fight?
yeah. Nico is obviously an experienced person. Sometimes when you watch these guys, most of his opponents have been people that I struggle to. I need to like Google them. I need to find out their record. But Nico Price is someone I know, and then he's had a lot of experience in the UFC. So I was quite impressed. Like Demola said, I didn't catch the fight because at the time, Betabiev versus Bivol was going on. And there are lots of fights on that
Boxing.
card that I was
Yeah.
interested in. So I was watching. Yeah, I was watching the that boxing card. But I'm very happy for Themba. Friend of the show, and obviously a fellow African as well. So Themba, shout out to you, man. Congrats on the win. And hopefully now you get a more household
Yeah,
name, and
let's
maybe
yeah, we'll talk
walk
about that.
towards the
Yeah, we'll
rankings.
talk about that. Yeah, thanks, Ebuka. We'll talk about that. But the thing is, yeah,
Mm.
the last time Themba fought in his last victory was a unanimous decision victory as well, and he was beating himself up for not getting the finish. And this time, I don't know if he probably wouldn't be happy he didn't get the finish. But regardless, this was like an you could see that he was looking for that finish. He was not
Mm-hmm.
fighting to survive the 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
He got
And
an
that guy is
easy,
tough.
i- yeah, he got an easy 30-27. He beat the face of Nico Price many, many times. And I'm going to say I'm really, really surprised on how comfortable Themba was on the ground against like a veteran like that. Nico Price, almost 20 fights in the game. We know he's notorious for always not coming back into a fight and winning. Like most of his wins is almost like, oh, he's losing and then he wins. So that's why I was sitting at the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Most especially when I see he's walking down Themba a bit. Because there were sometimes that he put Themba against the cage. I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, oh no. I just just don't want this to happen. But Themba survived, and like all of Themba's punches, you could see that there was intent in there. It wasn't like a surviving strike. It was like somebody actually going all out. I think that's what the fans would like to see. Now Themba has fought 5 times in a row in the Apex. He's calling himself the king of the Apex. I don't have records about the most wins in the UFC Apex
In Apex.
in a streak. Basically he has 4 in a row right now. What I know is that in the whole of the UFC right now, any African fighter that has a African flag apart from Dricus the champion, Themba has the longest winning streak currently. This is a UFC roster that has likes of Kamaru Usman, likes of Israel Adesanya, likes of Sodiq Yusuf, Nzechuku, Manel Cap, name
Yeah.
them. There's David Onama. I think David Onama is on 3 or 4 as well. But Themba,
Yeah.
I think David Onama is on 3.
He's on
Themba is
three.
on 4.
Okay.
Yeah, Themba is on 4, and that is the number one right now. So big shout out to Themba. Before the fight, he put out a tweet or a post on Instagram saying this is for Zimbabwe. Normally, we know that he likes to
Zimbabwe.
dance to the cage, and he played some local Zimbabwe song, which I wish I knew what it was, but still nice to see. The UFC did not lean very heavy on the whole Dwayne the Rock Johnson thing for the promotion of this fight. And I don't know if it has something to do with Themba going ghost during the fight build up. He deactivated all his socials when he was in fight camp, only coming on once or twice. I saw a few times the UFC tried to tag him, but they couldn't because he deactivated his account. So yeah, big shout out to Themba. Maybe that one, I don't know why, but when the fight was announced, he was on the main card, and then they bumped him down to the lower prelims or the middle of the prelims table, the prelims fight card. I don't know why that happened. I don't know if it has something to do with him not being active on social media. I really don't know. But yeah, shout out to Themba. Really, really solid guy. I know that he has manifested being the champion before the end of the year, but this is a nice way to segue into the welterweight champion in Belal Mohammed. But Themba, I don't think that is possible right now because the champion has a date with one guy called Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Shavkat
UFC,
Rakhmonov.
yeah, UFC 310 in Las Vegas, the T-Mobile Arena. By the way, this card is stacked. It is a Christmas gift. You know what? Let me go through the card, right? UFC 310 is going to be happening December 7th, 2024 at the T-Mobile Arena welterweight championship bout. Belal Mohammed defends against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Flyweight champion Alexandre Pantoja defends against UFC debutant what's that guy's name? Kai Asakura. Kai Asakura apparently is like a hot shot. I honestly don't know too much about him until Dana White mentioned, and I was like, wait a minute, who is this guy? How does he get a title fight in his debut? Right?
You don't know the guy. The champion
I don't know.
from.
Was he from one championship or was he from like a
Either one championship or Rising.
Rising Japan?
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's from Japan. He's from Japan,
Yeah,
and
you know,
mostly
Manel Kape was a bantamweight champion or flyweight champion in. I think he was a featherweight
in
champion. I can't remember. Manel Kape was a
in
champion
Rising.
in
Yeah,
Rising
in
too.
Rising. Yeah. So Kaya
Mm.
Sakura is from Rising as well.
All right, let's go.
He
Let's go
was a
on. On the
bantamweight
card,
champion.
we've got Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. I feel like they fought before, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Sirigan beat him. That was during the rise of Sirigan. I remember that
Okay.
fight. Yeah.
We've got Movsa Ivloev versus Aljamain Sterling. Movsa is a guy that I feel bad for because he's got a fighting style that the fans don't like, and the UFC guys too don't like. But he's one guy that racks up a lot of victories in his winning streak. I don't know if he still has a winning streak going on, but he's a guy that likes
Yeah.
a
Mokta is
lot
one
of
of those
decision.
guys.
Yeah. This one is one that a lot of people will like. Nick Diaz versus Vicente Luque. This is a this is a fight of like UFC veterans, in it. Would like to see, and this is a
Yeah.
low-key. There's another low-key fight that I actually absolutely like here. There's the sloppy seconds of John Jones, which is Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes. It's on that card as well. I call them sloppy seconds because those are. I think Reyes was the last light heavyweight title defense of John Jones before he left that division, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
he was.
Yeah. So there's that kid Chase Hooper is gonna fight Clay Guida as well. So that's a good test
Wow.
for Chase
Legend.
Hooper in there. So yeah, UFC 310 looking very stacked, very very beautiful card. Cannot wait. But the only thing that is missing out there, a lot of people are saying, what of Usman? Right? Usman is trying to was trying to get a title fight. He was pushing. They were doing online propaganda. Him and Belal Mohammed. They were
It did
trying to
not
get
work.
that fight.
It was
It
hard
did
to
not
it was
work.
hard to justify. It's hard to justify.
it did not work. And I was just saying, okay, when Dana White was, I saw the video of the Dana White when he was doing his announcement. You know how he does from the war room. And he was doing that video, and I was waiting to hear in the co-main event, Kamaru Usman. I did not hear that. Okay, then they have announced co-main. Okay, Pantoja. Okay, fine. Title fight. The next fight, he was like, "We've got Cyril Gane." I was like, "Oh shit." Okay, maybe Usman is the next one, and they did not mention Usman. I was like, "Okay, okay." Now the question remains: what is next for Usman? Usman can definitely not fight the winner of Belal and Shavkat. He cannot fight it, because if he cannot get this title fight now, he
Yeah.
definitely cannot fight the winner. So Usman cannot wait, because if he says, okay, let me wait and fight the loser, he's going to fight next summer. Waiting una think. Let me go Ebuka first. Waiting you think say be next for Usman?
Man, see, whenever I remember Usman and the situation he is in right now, it tells me again that, while you're at the top, yeah, you have to walk with grace and you have to just enjoy the moment. You have to make as much friends as you are, and you have to be respectful as well and responsible with everybody. And I'm happy Usman was a very respectable champion. He was someone that carried himself very well while he was champion, and he was a great champion. However, I think it's time we come to the realization and actually accept the fact that Usman now is past his time. His best years are in the past now, and I think that's the situation that he's in right now. And I think at this point, he'll just have to look at it and maybe stop chasing because you're asking me this question. We're talking about these things because we are still having a belief that maybe he can still be champion again in the welterweight division. And in all honesty, I don't think that is possible anymore, especially with somebody like Shavkat now coming on board, and some of these other guys coming on board in that division. Let's not forget, apart from Shavkat, there are still some other guys in that division that are deadly. So about what he does next, I think he should just take fights that are fun now. Take fights that are maybe something like UFC Africa. If it does happen, whether it's a fight night or it's a pay-per-view, I think Usman can definitely headline that anywhere it is in Africa with an opponent who's maybe an African as well or somebody. I think that's an option for him. Another option might actually be going up as well to middleweight as well. That's also an option now that Easy is not reigning king there as well. There's also an option there for him to go. I would have loved to see him with somebody like Robert Whittaker, but Robert now is fixed to fight. What's his name?
Shemaev.
Yeah. So
Shemaev.
that's maybe a
The
difficult
wolf.
Shemaev. Yeah. So maybe that's a difficult one now, and I'm not sure really. But his options in terms of the title are getting slimmer and slimmer every day. That's my take.
All right. You mentioned something about it. You don't see Usman becoming a champion again, and I'm going to take you guys back to our episode in January this year. Somebody here had a manifesto, and in that manifestation, he said this year, before the end of this year, Usman will become champion.
So Victor.
That person is none other than Kingdom sitting here. Kingdoms Alpha.
Okay.
Uh,
Remember, my manifestation, came out partially, right? Because I manifested that Belal was going to become champion. Remember, you can go back to play that episode. I said Belal was going to beat Leon, right? And then if Usman is given the title shot, right, against Belal, right, that is the pathway for him to become champion. So we pushed for Usman to get it, but It's not my fault he did not get it, right? So
Yeah.
remember, there's always a method to the madness, right? So he came partially correct, and I'm so proud of that, manifestation. Well, in terms of what next for Usman, I think they should try to push a trilogy between Usman and Kobe Covington. That is a fight that would always sell anytime, any day. So, Usman is in a position wherein he's currently
Yo,
right.
bro. You know when
Uh-huh.
you are talking this Kobe thing, I beg, sorry, I'm taking this away from you. All right. I just have to talk because you know me, I'm an artist. I want to draw a picture for you guys.
Okay.
So, so we are always looking for how will Usman be champion, right?
Mhm,
And I will take a bit of what Ebuka said. UFC
mhm,
Africa, we know when it comes, it's not going to be a pay-per-view, it's going to be a fight night.
mhm, mhm,
A lot of rumblings about Rwanda, and there's a lot of rumblings about an open air event,
mhm,
which we'll get into as well. So, if Usman is the perfect contender for headlining UFC Africa.
yeah,
And as you
exactly.
mentioned, Usman versus Kobe trilogy, I think it's just going to be one of those fights where the UFC are just looking for an excuse to push Usman to a title fight. Right? If they do
Mhm.
Kobe, because it doesn't make sense because Kobe has not fought anybody that is in the UFC right now except for Usman. Usman
Yeah.
then going
How about
to
Leon?
middleweight, maybe
You're not in the
wait,
UFC.
I beg.
And yeah.
Leon is not going back to the title. We know that it's bad for business. So I'm thinking about okay, if Usman moves to middleweight, right? And let's say Dricus and Strickland have already fought and Strickland has lost. Strickland
Mhm,
versus Usman on African soil is incredible. The promos are going to be crazy because it's going to be a rematch of the fight that they had in the welterweight.
Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good fight. Yeah. That's a
So
good shot.
Even
Strickland.
so
Yeah.
Usman versus Jan Blachowicz, because they had some beef, at
no
some
no no
point
no
when
no
they
Yan
were both
Yan
champions.
Yan will kill himself to make weight. I know he can make
Good.
middleweight, but he'll kill himself.
Yeah.
Let's come back. Let's come back to middleweight to welterweight. What's the name of that French guy? The
Imavov,
the
Welterweight.
no no the French welterweight.
Imavov is at middleweight.
welterweight, French
Yes.
welterweight, or French middleweight.
Is there a French
No.
welterweight? I'm not sure there
There's
is.
no French
Wait.
welterweight.
What's the name
Middleweight.
of that guy
Middle.
that beat? Hey
That's
God.
Nasruddin Imavov you're talking about, the guy that beat Brendan Allen.
Imavov is at middleweight,
No,
not
I'm
welterweight.
not talking about Imavov. What's the name of that guy? He has like some alphabets. RDH, DHR something.
Yes,
Oh,
He's
JDM, Jack Della Maddalena,
Jed.
Australian.
Yes, yeah.
he's not
Australian, right?
Australian,
Okay,
Australian.
sorry.
Yeah. It's Australian.
Oh,
JDM,
Yeah.
Jack
sorry.
Maddalena.
Yeah,
Yeah.
JDM. JDM.
Jack Della
At some
Maddalena.
point,
Yeah.
there were a bit of rumblings that JDM will fight Usman, but apparently JDM is injured and he's only coming back next year. Usman versus JDM or versus anybody. I think Ian Gary will be a good one as well. Main event of UFC Africa, Senegal, Rwanda. Now that they've started mentioning open air, I'm thinking Nigeria because we know of an MMA promotion in Nigeria that has been doing open air events,
Open air.
and that is Kamaru Usman's MMA promotion. They can do it on Lagos Island. We know they can do it, but I don't know whether UFC can handle Nigerian boss. But anyways,
Fight
a
Thailand.
UFC a UFC Africa, Usman there, and if he wins it, he's going straight to the title in the welterweight division. I think that's the only pathway I can see for Usman going back
The
into the
question is
title
asking,
picture.
but who is the path of least resistance, right? Because as it stands, Ebuka has written Belal's obituary, actually, right? Because from what Ebuka was saying, I see he believes that Shavkat is not the champion in waiting. Ebuka wants
Don't
to
you
go and
believe it?
wise up and just take that belt and give it to Shavkat. He wants
I
to
know
wrap
that
it.
Shavkat has not beaten anybody solid except for Wonder Boy. But really, waiting Wonder Boy don't do. Wonder Boy, he's one of those fighters that have been opportune to fight for the title for so many times without winning it.
So
Right?
many times. He fought twice against Woodley.
Yeah, those two times I think it was just given to him after the first one was a no contest,
This was
wasn't
a
it?
draw.
Anyways,
Was a draw.
it
Yeah.
was a draw. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he Wonderboy is one of the most recognizable faces. He is one of the first stream of kickboxers that transitioned into MMA and made it work. Like he had some awkward movements, it worked for him, all those things. But
Yeah.
I'm trying very hard not to dismiss Wonderboy, but Wonderboy at this age, being the only victory that Shavkat has had, through no fault of Shavkat. Shavkat will beat anybody they put in front of him, but he's sort of like of a boogeyman in that division now. I don't want to take away Usman's word, but
But Shavkat did beat some tough opposition, anyways. I think he
now
beat Magni.
If Shavkat beats Kamar, he beats Bilal Mohammed, who be the next contender? That welterweight division is very open. Who be the next
Stacked.
contender?
You have
I feel
JDM, you have
I,
Ian
I
Gary,
feel
you have
JDM,
the
there
big
is
fight.
Sean Brady there.
Sean Brady. Come
Yeah,
on,
Sean
Sean
Brady
Brady
is
can
coming
beat
up.
two of the
Mm-hmm.
toughest guys in the top 15, Jeff Neal and Neil Magny. Those are the ultimate gatekeepers in that division. So if you are able to beat those two gatekeepers, then you have been properly fraud checked. And I think he passed the fraud check. You know
all right,
something,
guys. Let's
right?
move.
Yes.
In
Mm-hmm.
accounting, we have something called internal controls, right? Internal controls are those
Yeah.
procedures you put in place in an organization to
So
prevent
UFC's internal controls are
fraud from
Jeff Neal
happening,
and
right? So those are the internal control procedures of the welterweight division,
of the
and he has
welterweight division.
successfully. So I respect Shavkat. There's nothing you want to tell me. I respect that guy.
All right, all right, all
And
right. Let's talk
just
about.
before we even move on, does any of you
Mhm.
not believe that Shavkat will beat Belal? Just so that we're clear.
Okay, I mean,
I know. Shavkat is a finisher, but
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
I feel like Bilal is going to drag Shavkat to his own level, and they will do a decision fight, a 5 rounder that nobody likes. But so that's the problem. That's the
It
problem. That's what I'm
depends
saying.
on one thing. It depends on one thing. If I see Khabib in Belal's corner, I'll put my money on Belal. Because Khabib never comes to lose. So it
That's
depends.
yo guys. Let's get back on track. Let's go back to UFC Africa, right? There are rumblings again. Big shout outs to our boy Christopher Graham for this question coming to you live from our Patreon. Please join, support the boys. Thank you very much. So Dana White confirms Sean Strickland next for Dricus Duplessis, and he talks about the hurdles that is not making UFC Africa happen. So Dana White, this comes to you, transcript from MMA Junkie. So this is from Dana White. He said, "Yeah, so you know how bad I want this," White said. Um, he said that I've been trying to get this UFC Africa thing done, but the arena situation there is tough. It's tough to pull off. That's been the challenge with Africa as a whole. So we are trying to figure it out. The place we would have to do it at is outdoors, and you know how I feel about that. I've been trying to figure out the weather, and one of the big things that I've been hearing out there is the wind is a big problem. We've done it a couple of times, but anything that can affect the outcome of fights makes me not want to try. So, and it's anything from wind, rain, bugs. I mean, too much humidity. A lot of things can interfere with the fight. And we know that Duplessis, this is not Dana White talking, this is just me doing a filler now. So we know that Dana was hoping for Duplessis to defend on Africa, but he says now it's not feasible. However, he did confirm that the rematch with Sean Strickland is next, even though we've heard from Dricus Duplessis head coach Monvisa saying that dismissing Strickland of being the next title contender. Wow, that was a
They
very
want
very.
they want an additional rematch.
You think so?
That's what his coach is saying. He wants an additional rematch. Because they know that's what's
Yo,
going to sell.
yo,
They know
yo,
that's what's
yo,
going to
yo,
sell.
yo, yo,
You're
yo.
supposed to
Calm down,
bring
calm down, calm
mobility.
down, calm down,
Hello, young
calm down.
fellas.
Calm down. We have to play some.
Gorimbo, my brother.
We need to give
My
Themba some
younger
bottles of
brother.
Hennessy for his performance.
He said 5 bottles of Hennessy VSOP.
Hey, VSOP for you,
One for the
Themba.
DJ, one for the head man.
Yes,
He said one
so
for the
Themba is
staff.
in the house.
1 bottle of water for Themba.
Big man Themba coming
Boza,
through last
Boza,
night.
Boza, Boza.
His skin
Yeah, yeah.
no pull body.
Nah, so no body Themba,
You
their
don't get
father.
money, you just spray perfume. Who you want impress? Hello.
Hello. Anyway, guys, a big shout out to Themba for the victory. Themba, you just joined us. We already have covered your fight. Now that we have you here, hopefully you are still here. Please, we were waiting for your Octagon interview, and that did not happen. We want to know who is Themba eyeing? Who does Themba want next? Is Themba open to telling us who Themba is going to fight next? Please drop it here for us, Themba. Another bottle of NSC for Themba, their father. All right, let's let's get back on track. Hopefully, Themba is still in the chat. Um, uh, what is it? Yeah. So we were reacting to Dana White saying it might be an open air event. UFC Africa, there's a lot of things going on. And when he mentioned open air events, then I started thinking about, well, does that mean that they are considering Nigeria now? Because Nigeria, we know, does not have an arena that could host a UFC, but we know of an MMA promotion in Nigeria that is doing events outside and they set up seats very nicely and it's owned by one Kamaru Usman in the AKO. Is that what they are looking at now again? We know that South Africa has a couple of arenas. However, the one that is the most preferred for to do is in Pretoria. I think that's the Sunbet Arena, which is about 8,000 or 7,000. It's not too much people in there, but you know the South Africans will fill it up. Another thing is, it's definitely, if they are talking about open air, then that means they're not talking about Rwanda or Senegal, because Angola as well. So are they talking about Africa? Is that what I see Dana White wants to tell us?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about these guys?
Yeah. I mean, then, to be honest, yeah, if I was, we talked about this a while ago, if you guys remember, and I said that if we had a government, right, that was forward thinking, that knew the importance of bringing this kind of event, they will be all over this guy trying to make sure that whatever he needs will be set up for us to, because the first UFC event in Africa should naturally be in Nigeria. The reasons being that Nigeria has had definitely the most champions in the UFC, the first African champion, the UFC, Nigeria, and all these things. And I don't see why we can't host it. Even somewhere like Abuja, for instance. I mean, they've had stadium shows before. You can obviously host something like this honestly, I understand about, can people even be able to afford it? Some people cannot afford to go and watch.
Ebuka, wait. News don't drop. He don't drop.
Updates. Updates.
Updates don't drop. Themba says that Rwanda Kamaru versus JD. Come on. But
GDF.
why?
Gorimbo bombs.
Yeah,
That's possible.
yeah, but why is Dana talking about open air events if it's going to be in Rwanda? But you get why Themba dey talk am. Themba go don hear something. And sometimes, with Dana White can bullshit himself through a question. When they ask him a question, he just bullshit the answer and freestyle there without knowing too much.
Yeah.
And I feel like this open air conversation probably was like, oh, maybe Dana was like, yo, why can we not do it in Nigeria? I'll be like, they don't have an arena unless we do it open air. And then they picked up, continue talking about something else. And then he just decided to just say it again. I feel it might be one of those things because this Rwanda has been coming up and coming up and coming up.
It keeps popping up,
It,
bro.
it has been coming up so
They have
many
the
times.
facilities, but they just don't have the fans. That's a problem.
Yeah. And Senegal has a Dakar arena. The last time I was in Nigeria, I was covering the AKO show, and there were some Senegalese fighters there. There was this guy called Diata, a very, very dangerous striker. And I was asking him, I was like, oh, he's like, MMA is not popular. They haven't even made it legal yet until recently, or I can't remember the status if it's legal or not. It's not completely legal. And I was like, okay, hypothetically speaking, if they do an MMA event in the Dakar Arena, will people buy tickets? He said no. They will not fill it up. I was like, okay. Because they have fans for Lutte Senegalese wrestling. Lutte Senegalese wrestling has a purposely built stadium for those events. And they fill them up. So now to get those people to translate to a UFC event, I think if they put that guy, what's that guy name? Rogue. If they put Rogue on that card, all those Lutte Senegalese fans will go there. I think it can work in Senegal, but we've got a Gorimbo bomb here with regards to Rwanda, Kamaru and JD. Wouldn't that be lovely to hear? I just hope that's true because this announcement that Dana made recently, yeah, of course, Themba, we know it's rumors. We are also speculating here. yes, we are confirmed. We are speculating. We are speculating because we are just using 1 and 2 together to try to make sense of 4 and 5. So yeah. How about thoughts about Strickland being the guy to fight Dricus? Do you think there's any reason why it shouldn't be Strickland?
If it's on African soil, it shouldn't be Strickland. But if it's outside of African soil, rightfully it should be Strickland. That's
why.
So basically, if you're doing it on African soil, you would likely want to have, 2 top tier Africans, vying for the belt in Africa. So it's more like an African event. So what's Duplessis' coach was saying would make sense, they want to have a rematch against Adesanya, and that's the only reason why it would make sense. But if you're doing it outside of Africa, Strickland is the clear-cut number 1 contender, and rightfully so, he should get the title shot he deserves.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like even though Izzy does not deserve a rematch, let me tell you what that coach is doing. That coach looked at the bonus, the money from pay-per-view points that Dricus got after he fought Adesanya, right? Dricus collected his fight purse and the money was heavy. And when fighters, how they design their thing is like they cut percentage of their purse, certain degrees of their purse to their coaches. And the coach collected that money and he's like, we better cash out as we are champions now before we lose this title, because as you know, champions are on the A side, right? So it's going to be beneficial for Dricus and his team for them to do a rematch, to have a rematch with Adesanya again. But I don't know if it's going to carry the same clout that it did, because like the last time we saw they made peace after the fight, him and Dricus and Izzy. I don't know if they do a rematch, if there's going to be that animosity again. But it's Rwanda, I suspect. Saw Kamaru last weekend, and hey, I mean, hey.
Gorimbo bomb.
First-hand information.
Hey, Themba the answer. we're not going to loud it. We're not going to loud it, so we don't want people in the back to hear.
Let's keep it on the
low. Thank you for the nuggets. There. Because I think that's probably something that will make Usman motivated to go back to training. Because we see Usman training, and we've seen that rodeo before. Whenever Usman is training, he start posting videos of training, it
Yeah,
means that there's
there's
a
a
fight
fight.
announcement that is imminent. And so yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah, very
Where's
possible. Very, very
where's it
possible.
gonna happen? Where is it going to happen? Is the question.
yeah, it might be Rwanda, it might be Kigali, bro. It might be Kigali. And because it's Usman, Usman would absolutely love it for it to be in Nigeria. I told you again, that open air conversation,
Yeah,
open air
it might
arena
be one
thing,
of the things that is delaying it. Yeah,
it's one of the things that we're talking about, because there's no reason they'll do open air events in Rwanda when there's the arena there. The only reason they'll do open air is to do it in Lagos. That is the
Mhm.
only reason. And now you can see that the UFC are properly in bed with Usman, right? No Didi. But we know that I don't want to just brush past what I said. So the UFC, I'm going to say it again because this my brain is spark today. The UFC are clearly in bed with Usman, no Didi, right? Because we've
Ibuka,
seen
are you catching the wave?
we've seen Usman's fighter in what's that guy's name? That Congolese fighter fought in Dana
Josiah
White Contender
Musasa.
Series.
Josiah
Yes,
Josiah Musasa.
Josiah Musasa fought in Dana White Contender
Mm.
Series, and he's a UFC fighter now. So the UFC are kind of like
Yeah.
happy, like okay.
And they've
And I could
also
hear from the
used
commentary.
Usman's,
Yeah, I could hear from
and
the commentary
they've
team. They
also
were
used
talking
Usman's
about
content for promo.
Usman's promotion, and they were
Yeah,
talking about it. I was like, okay, good stuff, dude.
yeah.
I was paying close attention. The content is it not coming from
Nora
me?
Sanko. Nora Sanko.
Mm.
Yeah, is it not coming from me? You know, all the videos that they are talking about. Now me make all the fight packages where I send them, even before they even sign the team. Now me make the fight package where I send them. But anyways,
Right.
oh boy, Rwandans want it, and they apparently have their Nigeria 2026. Well, by 2026, our arena will be ready, the Lagos Arena. So that will be fit for purpose. But this Rwanda have the best negotiators in the world. I feel like they know how to do those white people conversations more than anybody. Because if not the case, how did they get the British to send them the refugees? If not because they know how to have white people conversation. Well, let's let's leave that.
Mm.
That's a sensitive topic, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dricus Strickland rumored to be happening in Australia again. They got money and money talks. UFC is a business. Yeah, Themba is talking about Rwanda. They've got money certainly.
VC to Rwanda.
Yeah. I think this is a good place for us to end it. There's quite a few topics to go, but we rambled on quite a lot. Themba, thank you so much for coming in. But Themba, we still haven't heard from you. Themba, what thing you won't do next? Who you won't fight next? Do you want to keep this one to your heart, or do you want to share with the African Fight fans? Themba, we are waiting for you. We'll just give you another minute to see if you want to answer this question before we go. But again, big shout out to you, Themba. Yesterday, we were super proud of you. I'm just going to say something I see that you guys did not see. When they announced Themba as winner, he wanted to do the Kylian Mbappe pose like this. But you guys did not see it. I'm the only one that saw it. He was trying to do the Kylian Mbappe pose. And I feel like Themba has already manifested, because he has that thing going on for him like easy. He has already manifested. If he had gotten a knockout, he was going to do that pose, that Kylian Mbappe pose. But as he did not get the knockout, when they announced the victor at the end, he tried to do it, but it was a bit awkward because, like, after they raise your hand, you have to pull it down and do it. But yeah, I did see that. And Themba, tell me if I'm telling lies. Tell me when I'm telling lies. You wanted to do that performance.
But I would like to see Themba fight a ranked opponent next.
Yeah. KG, is that the name of the guy? Whose
Gastelum.
initials is KG?
Kevin Gastelum.
Kevin Gastelum.
What
Oh
the?
no!
Whoa, that's massive.
Yes. You know,
KG
remember
he's not bad.
Kevin Kevin Gastelum has history with Africans. You know, as my brain they work. I
Yeah,
mean, to me, it's only African fighters that exist. Kevin
with
Gastelum
Easy.
had that crazy fight against Izzy, and twice he
It's
got
easy.
booked to
Yeah.
fight Dricus, and the fight fell off because he was scared to fight Dricus, if you can remember. So is Kevin Gastelum going to duck Themba again? Duck another African, right? Kevin Gastelum has history with us, brother. He does have history with us, and he's a former title contender. So there's a lot of star power there. And Kevin Gastelum dropped back to welterweight. He was a welterweight, moved to middleweight, and dropped back to welterweight. He's one of those guys
Yeah.
that will
Yeah.
benefit from a weight class between welterweight and middleweight.
Yeah, because he keeps fluctuating.
Um,
He's small for middleweight and too big for welterweight.
yeah, but man, that's a fantastic one. I swear, if Themba's manager can get that fight done, that would be incredible. Yeah, shout out
Wonder Boy versus Themba.
Shout out them. Courageous Empire is sending some love to Themba Gorimbo. Courageous Empire, Kelvin can't make weight.
Kevin can't
Yeah.
make weight.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Tomorrow is a Monday, and some of us have to go back to our daily jobs. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really, really appreciate it. It's been a minute. We did this. I'll try to clip this episode because there was so many nice conversations that we've had. I'll try to clip it and make it shorter and then post on the channel because I've been lazy to do that.
Yeah.
But again, really, really thank you guys. And before we do, I would have to pull in Bruce Buffer here to tell us it's time to go home. Yes.
Genial.
All right, guys. Thank you. Love, peace, and hugs.
Time to go home.
Everybody, goodbye.